So excited for you. Welcome inside. I have 3 pages of notes to make sure that you know exactly what you have inside this survival kit for middle school. And I may be looking at my notes because I don't want to miss anything. Middle school is my favorite stage of homeschooling. It's when our kids are most at risk for getting lost, but it's also the most incredible heartwarming season when you actually are able to grab onto their hearts. So, you ready? Buckle your seatbelts. Okay, so the first thing is congratulations. Saying yes to rebooting is you're not just rebooting homeschool, but you're rebooting your heart and your middle schoolers' hearts. And this is worth the effort that you're going to put in over the next few weeks. I want to encourage you that some of these ideas may seem simple, but they're critical, and I don't want you to miss the gold on the other side of the rainbow. Okay, so hang in there. This is not about cramming in more. It's about letting go of what's not working so that you can focus on what matters most: your relationship with your kids, the purpose behind learning and homeschooling in general, and that all important character training, because middle schoolers don't need a perfect plan. They don't even need you to be a perfect parent. They just need to have a calm and connected adult that sees them even on the days when they roll their eyes and slam the door. I did 25 years of homeschooling with our own 5 sons, and I am now a professional tutor as well as homeschool coach. And I can tell you, hands down, that the students that don't feel seen, they are struggling. And once your child, once that middle schooler they feel seen, it's like all the walls come down and they're like sponges for what you want to teach them. Some students, it will take longer to break through, especially if you've been fighting for a long time. So buckle your seatbelts because it's a ride, but it's totally worth it. So in the one of the pieces of this homeschool kit is finding your rhythm with purpose inside of homeschooling. You're not going to be winging it anymore. You're going to be designing a rhythm that works for your family. So there's a few things inside here that will help you do that. There is a flexible schedule planner, which gives you a framework in order for you to create a flow without pressure and without having to be a clock watcher. It also can help you adapt to real life. Now, a caveat to everything that's inside this kit: there's no such thing as one size fits all homeschooling. So, even in the planners, I need you to understand that you're going to have to adapt it and make it your own to fit you. Just because it worked great for me doesn't mean it's going to work great for you. But these things have worked either well for me or for some of my clients. And I'm giving you the gold. I'm giving you the best of the best inside here so that you have the most secure foundation to step forward. So you have your flexible schedule planner. There's also a weekly interest led planner. And what that will give you the ability to do is to wrap learning around something that your student, your child is interested in, and it will help reduce resistance in learning, and it will also help them take ownership to what it is that they're learning. It's so important. Middle school is that stage where curriculum falls flat because it doesn't take your child into consideration. It's just a bunch of people that sell curriculum and they stamp it 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and that doesn't tell your child that they're important, that they're seen. And because they live in this world where they're holding a supercomputer or they're within arm's reach of a supercomputer, if it doesn't give them purpose, if they don't see the reason behind it, it's hard for them to have buy-in to it. So the weekly interest led planner helps you tap into what they love and design lessons, or at least design a path that you can go that you'll get buy-in from them. So that's included in there. There is a yearly what we got done tracker. Now, I tried all the things. Every August I would buy a fancy new homeschool planner because it just smelt like hope. But it never worked for me. When I was a classroom teacher, a lesson planner was still a loose scaffolding because the reality is that those students are alive and they come with real challenges, problems, triumphs, passions, all the things. And sometimes it blows the lessons out of the water. So I graduated to a journal type planner where I would simply record what we got done in the day. And it just felt so good to really think through the things that we did and then assign it an academic box. And it was amazing. The kids got an incredible education. So it's not busy work, it's proof of what you're doing, it's proof of growth. And looking back, you're going to see the fruit of your connection first learning. So that's included in there. Part two is all about that learning doesn't feel like school. You're going to be shifting from a check the box kind of mentality to really focusing on what's the purpose behind this. Your kids need to know the why. And I can tell you it's exhausting to answer that question. But the very biggest thing that homeschool moms struggle with is that they try to move too fast. Did you hear that? Homeschool moms try to move too fast. They're trying to complete the lesson, complete the unit, complete the curriculum, all the while their students going like, why are we doing this? And a lot of moms are like, well, I don't know why we're doing it, but it's next. It's like, that's a bad answer for a middle school with a supercomputer in their hand. You need to lean into why. And if you don't know, you either need to push it aside or pause and say, let's find the life lessons hiding behind this quadratic equation or this critical thinking puzzle or this thing that we're trying to pump out for writing. They need to know the why. Middle schoolers ask, why does this matter? And you need to know how to answer it. You need to pause and give them the real reason. And the real reasons are not on top. They're not on the top of any lesson. They're not on the top of, even if you look in a textbook and it has the learning objectives, that's really not the purpose behind what it is they're learning. You have to go deeper. For instance, all writing, whether it is a sentence, a paragraph, an essay, a research paper, a text, a resume, doesn't matter what it is, all writing falls under the umbrella of written communication. And there are only three things that every piece of writing that your student needs to understand. They need to know who is the audience, who's it for, what is the purpose behind the writing, and are there any specialized words that they need in order to communicate that idea? Oh, and there's a sneaky fourth one, like a template, like a resume has to follow a certain template or a certain format. But once your student understands that every piece of writing, if you want them to write a paragraph, that's not the goal. The goal would be, I want you to communicate to your younger sister why she should read this story. So then she knows the audience, or he knows the audience, he knows what he's trying to do, he's trying to persuade her. And for that younger sister, he may not need specialized language. It unlocks the why behind the writing. It's not about writing an essay, it's about communicating ideas. Does that make sense? And so when you're stepping up to any kind of lesson, you need to pause long enough to go, why are we doing this? Why are we learning how to add? Why are we learning how to multiply? Why are we learning about the American Revolution, or fill in the blank? Why are we learning about the scientific method? You have to get to the why so that you can get your students buy-in. So that's that. And I have in here 7 weeks of done for you school. It is a loose schedule for 7 weeks focused on middle school, but I've included preschool, kindergarten, all the way up through high school because some of us had more than one child. And so this is going to give you 7 weeks of just point them in the right direction. Most of it is free. There are a few things in there that you would need to purchase if they're in preschool, like there's some preschool activities or kind of things. Nothing is expensive. Nothing's more than $3. It's not my stuff. Most of it's not my stuff. Most of it's people that I love their resources. But for middle school, most of it's free, or you can access the trial for them so that you have school taken care of for 7 weeks while you focus on the other things. You need in middle school breathing room to allow your brain to understand how you're going to be connecting with your student. So I took care of the school part for you. It's a temporary plan that'll give you the breathing space that you need in order to access the relationship building things that you need. So I can't wait to hear how that works for you. It's going to give you the space that you need to reconnect, to reset, and to rebuild joy in homeschool, especially if you're just dying underneath all of your curriculum. I've also included some things. There's these reading response cards that are not boring. Okay, middle schoolers, they can smell busy work from a mile away, but these cards will help you help them have deeper thinking, deeper connection with what they're reading, especially designed for reluctant readers, because your avid readers are just going to want to talk all about the story. But these are lost middle schoolers most of the time. So these are going to help you if they need a little nudge to think differently about what it is that they're reading. So those are in there. I also included a way to pair different types of foods or snack foods with different topics. This is middle school, especially if you have boys. I have 5 sons. So especially if you have boys, but middle school in general, if you can pair food with what they're learning, it attaches to another sense and they learn better, and they'll make connections that they wouldn't have if they didn't have that taste factor included. And so it's going to be things like reading with popcorn or history with trail mix, simple stuff, but it engages the senses and it boosts the mood, which is important. Middle schoolers need help with their mood. Okay, and I also have some connection goodies in there for you. I have conversation starters for you. Middle schoolers are hard to have conversations with. A bunch of the kids that I'm currently tutoring right now they're a challenge because their interests are not my interests. So I rely heavily on these conversation cards. They're not just how was school, how was your day. They're open-ended questions that help you actually get to know what's going on behind those big beautiful eyes that they have. So conversation starters, brain breaks. It's very important for our middle schoolers that they move. If they spend any amount of time on devices, we need to work extra hard to make the connections to help them get their wiggles out, help them focus, and helps anytime that they need a reset. So they're simple things that you can do. They're just physical activities that take 10 seconds, 60 seconds, and they help with left-right connection or energize a body or activate different parts of your brain so that you're able to receive information easily. So there's that. There's also do-it-yourself projects based on hobbies. So a bunch of ideas that will help you connect actual projects to what it is that they love. And they include things like art and tech and baking and Legos, stuff that they're going to not realize that it's learning, but you're going to be able to tap into those things. I also created, I can learn from that lesson map for when things go wrong, because they're gonna, and they help build emotional intelligence and all that stuff. So there are ways to step into unexpected moments, unexpected topics, and to find the lessons hidden within. And when all else fails, I gave you some abort mission cards, because not every day is flexible. Sometimes the ceiling leaks. Sometimes your 9-year-old bites your 13-year-old when the plumber's coming to fix the ceiling. Yes, that's a true story. And you just need to abort the mission for today. So these cards are your permission slip, pre-thought in advance. You're giving yourself your get out of jail free card, and it tells you what you can say, what you can do, so that you can pivot with grace. You want to teach your children that sometimes the best thing that you can do is step away. and come back later. Okay, the next thing is that if this is all, let me see, double check before we get to that. I need you to understand now, I do have a year done for you. If you like the 7-week plan, there is that available to you. And I also have a mentoring program where if you want or need a collective group of homeschool moms that are on the same page, that is available to you as well. It's somewhere in here in the bonus section where you can find all of those things. But before I close and before you dig deep into all of these goodies, I want you to know that teaching middle schoolers, homeschooling in general, has nothing to do with curriculum. There does not exist a list of the 47,000 things that you need to teach your children before they graduate high school. You can truly lean into whatever works for your family and your children and wrap learning around those things in a way that they will blossom and thrive. You know, we homeschooled for 25 years. All 5 of our sons graduated high school. Most of them, actually 4 of them have 5 of them have at least an associate's degree. 2 of them have bachelor's degrees, and 2 of them are finishing their bachelor's degree at the time that this is being recorded. Now, I don't believe that everybody needs to go to college, but I want you to know that even though we had years where we did barely any curriculum, the boys still were able to thrive. They still were able to get into college. They still were able to become gainfully employed. I need you to understand that. There's no one right way to educate your children. But if you lose their heart, it's not worth it. It's worth it always to push aside academics and to focus on the heart and character. 100% of the time, if you have to choose between a character lesson and an academic lesson, choose character. What that means is that sometimes you're going to feel like you haven't touched school for a day, a week, a month, or even a year. You're going to feel like that at some point. But I want you to know it is always the right thing to do, because this world needs us to raise children that grow up to be adults that are filled with integrity and character. It makes a huge difference. So you already have everything you need to educate your children. You do. And you need to approach it with a full heart and this purpose that you're going to be launching them into the world in a way that they will be most set up for success. Now, I am here for you inside this little platform. If you decide to do the year with me, if you decide to join Homeschooling Olympians, that's all good. But you can also find me on social media if you need help. Let's make middle school for you the season where your student doesn't just survive, but they grow and they thrive, and you get to witness firsthand watching them blossom into who they are destined to be. So I can't wait. Roll up your sleeves. Let's get ready and let's transform your homeschool.